Welcome back. As you can see, we've already masked off our helmet. Everything looks good as far as how we have things taped off. We did go ahead and scuff up the particular helmet using a Scotch pad, or you can use a very fine sandpaper, wet sanded. So you'll need water if you decide to use sandpaper. Couple key things to note when you are dealing with a helmet like this. This had graphics that were extremely hard to remove, and so we're going to have to actually paint over these particular graphics. One being at the top of this visor, one on the back, actually two on the back, and we have a couple up in here that actually will have to be covered up as well, which will give us a couple issues as far as laying out our actual graphic, but I'm going to show you how we basically deal with that. We didn't want to up the cost of the helmet by painting all white over the helmet again and then clearing it and then going back through this whole procedure of masking off. So there are a couple different ways that we're going to tackle that particular issue. Fine line tape we're going to use to lay out our design. 3.17 millimeter blue fine line tape and more automotive masking tape. For our particular design for this helmet, we are going to do American flags, but the difference between this American flag and like the ones that we do sometimes previously is that we are going to use a more realistic effect. So it's going to cause for us to actually have to bend our lines instead of keeping them straight like we would traditionally do when we're doing our helmets with flags on them. And then we're going to do for the actual stars and stripes, there's going to be a tribal ripping the blue pattern going back onto where the actual stripes are going to be. So I'm excited about doing that. For our stars, and then there's going to be a name on the back, we're going to use a film that I actually like using a lot. It's low tack. We put it in our plotter system, and it allows us to, after cutting the graphic and laying it on, peel it off without having any sticky residue. And that's really important. You can't use standard vinyl without leaving a residue, which is horrible if you try to clear over it. And so we use this particular film. It's known as a wall flare in the vinyl and print industry world, but it's perfect for actually laying out on helmets for graphics. Let's see here, outside of that, you're going to need an X-Acto knife, and we can go into actually laying out our pattern and our design for this helmet. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the pattern by starting with the middle of the helmet. And I do this mainly because I want to keep things symmetrical. So I'm going to kind of work this pattern back and forth. And one thing I do want to kind of inform you guys is that you want to kind of follow the pattern of the helmet. I'm going to change where those actual lines lay as I start to move around. After I get the center marked out, you're going to see me start laying the pattern back across the helmet where the curves are. And it's important to follow the curves of the helmet because it'll give it a natural look to how the helmet is actually shaped, and it'll help the pattern look better versus trying to force a pattern over it that doesn't flow with the helmet, that can cause unnatural looking ripples in a graphic that may not need it. And so here I'm starting to lay out the pattern based on the curve, and I'm just going to follow that line all the way through there and just bend it and curve it around, and this will give it a much dynamic flow and look to the actual helmet. And I keep the visor on there in this initial part because I want to make sure that it looks seamless in between the two. Now here you can tell I have the entire graphic on one side laid out, and I duplicated on the other side. And once we have both sides duplicated, you'll notice that you'll have certain parts that cross. The way we get those sharp parts where it looks like a perfect point is we cut right where they cross at. If you rub it down, you'll notice that it creates a triangle pattern, and you can follow that line when you use your X-Acto knife to cut it. And you just cut right against that triangle on each side, and you'll end up with a perfect point at the end of it. And so I just take my X-Acto knife and I cut one side after rubbing it down, and then I turn around and I cut the other side as well. And this will give it a nice sharp point without lifting up your tape. As you can see, we have finished cutting out our first part of the graphic, and points all look pretty good. Everything looks pretty much balanced on both sides. When you look at it from the back, they look the same, and that's the important part. Now we're going to go ahead and move into where we lay out the name that's on the back, and I want to put this down first because I want this to actually sit over top of the graphics that are going to go back, which are the stripes. And we're just going to just pretty much lay this out as evenly as possible. Now keep in mind, if you do not have a machine to cut the lettering for your helmet, you can always measure it out and go to a sign company and have them cut the vinyl for you. We used to do that before we actually went into buying our own plotter. So this is not something that you can achieve. You just go to a sign company, tell them your dimensions, and it only costs you a couple bucks. Now in this next part, I start laying out my stripes, and I have to make sure that I go around this graphic. This graphic is an inconvenience, but we can use it to our benefit. We want our stripes to waver anyway, so I'm just going to kind of curve my way around it, and I'm going to just use this as a center point of where the flag is going to ripple into from both sides, following the curves of the helmet as well. And it's not really an easy thing to do because you've got two major bumps that stick out, but we want to follow the shape of the helmet, and we can use those curves to our advantage. Then as you can see, we are able to lay out the entire pattern. Things look pretty even and symmetrical on both sides, and we can move into taping off the helmet, and we use a thinner automotive tape, same 3M tape, but we're going to use a thinner width just so that we can fit, and we're going to follow the edge of the blue fine line tape. We're going to follow that instead of trying to tape right up against it. We're going to tape on the inside of it, and then we're going to cut off any excess that we have. Okay, so the end result that we have is all the areas that we don't want paint to hit initially when we paint it will be protected, and that's where the white is. We want to keep the white for the white stripes in the actual helmet, so those are totally masked off, and that's exposing the ones that we want to paint, which are going to be red. And we'll move into the stages of setting up and getting ready to paint. Please subscribe so that we can blow up this channel. Have a good day.